Well, just recently I found this article that says it's going to take you 411 months or almost 35 years in order to save just for the down payment on a Vancouver home. That's because the average home price in Metro Vancouver for a detached property has now crested $1.47 million. And after you save for more than 34 years for your down payment, you're going to have to make over $253,000 a year to qualify for the mortgage. Now, obviously, this article is made to be slightly ridiculous to prove a point that Vancouver housing is very expensive. But it makes me ask the question, how is it that people actually do save up their down payments in such an expensive area? Well, in reality, the number one way that people actually do save for their down payment in Vancouver is obviously by winning the lottery. That's right, both the 649 and the Lotto Max, not so much a BC 49 because you're going to need a bigger down payment. No, it's not by winning the lottery. But in this video, I'm going to show you the way people actually save for a down payment and eventually one day achieve the dream of home ownership. But before I do, really quick, if you're interested in my local marketplace of Surrey, BC, or the Fraser Valley for that matter, or Canadian real estate, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and join our 1,000 subscriber giveaway.
We're almost there.
And if you could, please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm. My job here is to educate. Your job is to hit the like button and then get this information out to other people that are also trying to save for their down payment for their future dream home. Okay, so this article or opinion piece or whatever it is obviously a little bit silly for a few different reasons. The first is it's not realistic to think that you're going to get into a fully detached home in such a big city like Vancouver or Toronto for that matter on your first step. You're going to have to join the property ladder, which means condo, then townhouse, then detached home. And this is probably going to take 10 or 15 years in order to achieve. And I did take a couple of notes here from this article that I thought were interesting. They said that if you save 10% of your income, it's going to take you 411 months to save for the down payment of a detached home. By my calculation, that's about $715 a month. Doing my backwards math, I guess they're calculating the average household income of being about $85,000 a year. And then in the same article, to pay for that house, they say you also have to now earn $253,000 a year to pay the mortgage on that house. So if you're making $85,000 a year, how would you ever save that much in order to afford a property that you can't afford? So I'm going to suggest if you need the income of $250,000 a year, you can save a heck of a lot more than $700 a month, making this more achievable. For instance, in the same article, they say that you're probably more likely to get into a condo first, and the average price is only $655,000 for that. So you only have to save for about 4.8 years by their same calculations. But then again, you still need almost double the household income that they stated there at $132,000 a year. So this is all actually kind of silly, but how do people actually get the down payment for such expensive properties? Well, the first one is what everybody thinks is happening. And I'm going to tell you from my experience in the industry, it's actually not the number one way people do it. I'm actually going to say out of the three, it's probably number 3 on the list. And that, believe it or not, is to get married and then make sure you get your dad drunk and he gives you a bunch of money. But seriously, on this mortgagenb.ca website, they do go over the fact that a lot of people raise their down payment from gifts from their parents. They point out that your parents have likely seen massive growth in the equities of their properties, and hopefully they've even got some savings of their own. I'm a parent, so I know that one day I do plan to try and help out my kids as best they can because I know homeownership is how they're going to grow their wealth. Now, my experience has shown me that, a portion of the down payment may come from parents, but there's not a whole lot of parents just kicking around with a couple $100,000 out there. So they may give you, I don't know, 10, maybe even 50 grand, but it's usually not where the entire down payment's coming from, specifically if you're looking to get into any sort of a detached home. But there is a trend going on out there that I see with a lot of parents, and that is, why am I sitting on all of this savings or all of this equity that I have that I'm eventually going to pass down to my children later on? Why not make their life a little bit easier? Give them a head start now, knowing that that money will no longer be in the estate whenever they do pass on. Now, there are a couple of things to remember when you're getting a gift from a parent, if you find yourself in such a lucky situation. And the first one is a lot more paperwork comes with it these days than it used to. The bank wants to trace the money to make sure it's not laundered or worse. And I find that often parents doing most of their banking 30, 40 years ago when they bought a house, they don't like the fact that the bank is going to want to verify their information since they're not the one one buying the house. But the bank will require a gift letter and to be able to track the funds, and they likely want to track those funds for at least 90 days. The other most important part about getting a gift from a relative is you have to remember it is a gift. Your parents cannot make you sign a piece of paper that says you promise to pay this money back. And the reason for that is if you now promise to pay that money back to your parents, that goes into your debt servicing ratio, and the bank then won't give you the loan or as big a loan as they would have otherwise. So your parents have to sign off saying, no, I do not want the money back. I never expect it back. It is a gift. Now, my experience shows me that maybe there's a couple of side deals here and there, but I wouldn't want to know anything about that because I'm the real estate agent involved, and really the banks make you sign off saying that the money is not repayable. The second way that people save for a down payment, and I see a lot more of this than I do gifts these days, is that people will reach into their RRSPs. They've been putting a little bit away to get the tax write-off into their RRSPs every single year, and they're now going to borrow some of that back out of their RRSPs in order to pay for the down payment. Now, there are limits with this, and you should consult your mortgage broker if you're going to do this. You should probably actually also consult your financial planner because of a couple of rules. First is to a maximum of $35,000 a person, or if you're buying with your significant other, up to $70,000. Next, those monies couldn't have just been deposited. I have seen specific buyers who have just put in a big chunk into their RRSPs and go, oh, okay, I'm going to buy a place now. Well, no, those monies need to have been in the bank for at least 90 days. Now, the downside to using your RRSPs or your retirement fund for purchasing your first time property, you have a 15-year time period of which you then have to repay those funds. And if you don't pay them back, taxes may apply. But for the first 15 years, that loan to yourself out of your retirement is completely tax-free. Now, this is actually my least favorite option, and here is why. You're now going into a home of which you may find it slightly uncomfortable to make your new payments. You're not used to these big high payments of home ownership. Maybe you were either living at home or splitting rent with a roommate. Well, now not only do you have all of those payments, property taxes and all of that stuff that comes with home ownership, even strata fees, but you're also now having to pay back your RRSPs so you don't get taxed on them in the future. If you're a good little saver and you got lots of RRSPs and you put together a plan to pay those back in time, you'll be in great shape. But a lot of people kind of forget for the first 3-4 years to start paying those back. And once it gets to year 10, may not be the easiest thing to pay back. So you may want to put a plan in place to start repaying your RRSPs the day you move into your new property. And the number one way people save for their down payment is to save systematically. That's right. The good old-fashioned way of just saving your money and putting it in the bank is still the best way to save for a down payment. Now, in this article, they recommended that you save 10% of your gross salary towards your down payment. Now, I'm going to suggest that that's a little bit low, specifically if you're young. If you're young, you don't have a lot of commitments yet. Hopefully you haven't overcard or spent your money on credit cards or vacationing. You should be able to save at least 15% gross, if not 20. And then within a few years, you will have enough to get to the condo level or the first step on the property ladder. Remember, we're not trying to skip steps. We know that there's condo first, then townhouse, then detached home. But on the National Bank website, nbc.ca, I found this cool little article that talked about how to properly save if you're currently renting. And what they say is if you expect your mortgage payment to be $1,600 a month and your rent is currently $900 a month, pay yourself now or save yourself now to the tune of about $700 a month and get yourself used to making that higher payment now. And all of that money is going to go directly into your savings. And if you're doing that right, you're still saving another 10% on top of that. But just after the first year, with just the $700 and not the second portion, you're going to have saved yourself $8,400 and almost $17,000 if you have a partner living with you doing the exact same thing. But I'm going to suggest that the saving and the RRSP portion can actually be put in conjunction with each other, making things a lot easier. And if you have drunk parents that want to give you a ton of money, for sure take that towards your future wealth. And if you are a first-time buyer and you need more personalized guidance than these silly videos, please make sure to reach out to me, particularly in my marketplace of Surrey, BC and the Fraser Valley. But also, if you want to be connected with a good agent anywhere in the province or across the country, reach out. I would love to connect you with someone. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, click the like button for the YouTube algorithm, watch another couple of videos while you're here on the channel, and we'll see you in a couple of days.